have this newly opportunity given unto me, and I'm so even more excited to share all of the lovely guests that come onto this platform. Today we have Mr. Jason Davis with us. Hello, sir.
How are you doing, Kelly?
I am well, and yourself?
I am doing excellent. It's a wonderful day. Excited to be here.
Glad to have you. I know you as the king of the Clubhouse app, but others should also know that you run the Jericho Force Enterprises. Give us some background on Jericho Force Enterprises and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I started my business, Jericho Force Enterprise, back in 2017, and I started off doing one-on-one financial coaching with families and small business owners. And so I focus on, from a financial education perspective, a lot of people, they need those foundational pieces. A lot of people want to jump to the building wealth, but they don't have the foundation, and that's budgeting, saving, debt, and credit. You get those four, then it's a lot easier to get to the fun stuff, Kelly, like real estate and the stock market. So I started off doing that, and then as I began to look at my data, I realized a lot of the people I was serving, they were small business owners. So I started to lean more deeply into that, and they would bring up other issues like leadership and management, things like that. So I morphed over time into just a growth-based platform. So now I just flat out, I help business owners grow so that they can reach their full potential. So that's a little bit about what I do on the Jericho Force side. I speak, I coach, I train, I do a leadership experience, and I assess behavior using the DISC personality assessment. And then just a little bit about me, married to my lovely wife of 5 years as of this past March. So excited to be, I always tell her we're in 5 dot now, 5 and counting. I know the folks that if you're watching this, you're going to say, those kids are just young. Well, hey, we're celebrating every step of the way. We met in college at Georgia Tech. So it's definitely possible to find your sweetheart in college. So very excited to be husband to my wife. No kids yet. We are in that season. But I just have a passion for people, passion for faith, and just helping folks. And so that's just a little bit more about me and what I do in my business.
Thank you so much for that quick bio. And it was impressive to know that you guys met in college and then still got married. That wink, wink. There was priorities there. And so,
there was, absolutely.
I definitely understand that path. I too teach financial literacy. My main audience is youth and young adults. Of course, that's not a curriculum within their education, at least not in the public schools that I attended. And then when these young adults come out of school, they know that a job is needed. But just like you said, savings, debt management, being able to forecast your income and know no one's stealing from you, being able to save enough and only shop when you reach a certain goal instead of saying, I'm about to spend this whole check, and I'll get another one back. Girl, you're going to be broke for 3-4 days. I promise you spend that whole check. It ain't gonna last. So, right. And that item you purchase is not worth it. We go through a lot of steps to finally reach their financial potential, especially young mothers and fathers. Some in middle school, some in high school, that I have to transition into the reality of this world, which is, money, security, and healthy spending habits. So I'm glad we have that in common. What do you think today's youth is lacking that is pertinent for the new world?
Oof, that is a loaded question,
Kelly. I know you can go any way with it though. See how
I would say, and this is the generations above them, we're partially to blame for this. I think because we live in an information age, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. There's all this info, and I feel like the kids kind of get lost in the middle of all that, and so I feel like it's purpose, right? I feel like the kids need a sense of fortitude, a foundation. And because society, like I said, and we don't help, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to make a way, you got to be about your business, but they've got to understand who they are. And
Correct.
that comes from purpose, it comes from encouragement, it comes from telling them, hey, it doesn't matter the background you come from, the family you come from, you can do this thing. So I
Mhm.
think that's a big thing plaguing our kids today. And I have the luxury of speaking to kids in different capacities and whatnot. And that's what I really see is just we get so busy in this fast paced world. And I think our kids are, though they're more advanced in dealing with things younger, but we don't just allow kids to be kids anymore, right? With this amount of connectivity and you got to do something, you got to make something of yourself. And along the way, Kelly, what ends up happening is that child is still developing. And we can inadvertently think that, oh, the kids, they're going to be fine. She's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. But they got to know who they are. And so we've got to be intentional about encouraging them and telling them that, hey, you can do this. You've got a community of people around you that can do this, whether that's supporting you in your learning journey, your career. I can't tell you the number of stories, Kelly, where kids, they remember this stuff. They get to the young, college, young adult age, and they remember something negative that a teacher or a coach or a parent, even unfortunately, they remember that stuff and they take it to heart. And we can derail these kids for months and years to come. So, Kelly, I'd say that's a big thing for today's youth is we've got to help them have a sense of purpose and,
Correct.
and passion. Yeah.
I can't agree with you more. Even in my personal life, I had to come to the realization that my daughter does not want to go to college. There's
Hmm.
nothing about her that wants to go into higher education. She'd rather go to trade school. She'd rather
Hmm.
join the FBI or some type of criminal catching association.
Hmm.
um, and I had to live with that. I come from education. I have a master's degree. They watched me go through it. My education didn't come until I was a full grown adult with children. So they watched me go through it one degree at a time, AA, BS, MS. And I just knew my daughter was going to college. So we did all the research through careers, what schools could give her the information for that career. And she just came to me the other day like, Mom, can I just go to community college? I really don't know what I want to do. That was not a dig to me. That was her finding purpose within herself. That was her acknowledging that education is still important. That was her saying, I don't want to waste money. That was her saying, I've made my decision and I would like to be a liberal arts major for 2 years. And perhaps once I get all those gen ed creds out the way, I have a better idea of where I would like to spend my career. I didn't think that was the traditional answer, but I did applaud her because she said, I'm still going to achieve a goal, although I don't quite know all the ins and outs. And that's also important in our life when we set these goals. Many times we don't have the wherewithal. Many times we don't have the resources. Many times we don't have the network, but we have intuition, we have will, we have guidance. And if you're spiritual like me, you have the Lord on your side. And so within that prayer life, it's much easier for the things to come to you as long as you ask God for it. Father, please help me break into this area of business. Lord, give me the network that I need to move forward. Help me reach the resources that are important to get to the levels that you want me to reach. And at the same time, I still have no idea. So we're going on faith, right?
Right.
And we're going on the confidence that we have within ourselves or within God. And so when people can turn nothing into something at least one time out of their life, that there is your miracle. It's not the burning bush you need to look for, sweetheart. It's the how this was achieved without me doing anything, or somebody just making a phone call and boom, it was done. Very little effort goes into the miracles that are given to us, and they're given to us because we needed a jump start. Do you agree or disagree?
Ooh, listen, Kelly, if you had a church and were preaching, I would be right there.
And the Lord said, ha. And the Lord said, ha. Grab your neighbor, ha. I feel a shout coming on.
Yeah. Listen, if you were preaching, I would be there. I can't agree more, Kelly. And I love the transparency that you shared with your daughter. And that is a prime example of mother and daughter having a open enough relationship as mother and daughter to come together and have a tough conversation about just the reality of things and where she's at and what she's trying to do. So I just want to
Thank you.
commend you
Thank
for
you so much.
having that conversation. And I believe with the support you're giving her and with her giving that confidence, that's part of her foundation. She's seen her mother, she's seen the path that you've walked, and then now she's, it was said to me years ago, everybody, the family, it's all one tree, but everybody has their own root, their own offshoot.
Mhm.
They'll always be part of the tree. She'll always be part of your tree, Kelly. So I love that interaction there, and it's those kinds of conversations I wish that every kid, every mother daughter, every father son, every father daughter, every mother and son can have. Hey, mom, dad, this is what I believe that I can do, and I'd like to do this. And I feel like kids, even in those formative years, even going into college, there's always, I feel like they're walking around these invisible signs of, you know mom or dad, do you approve, is this okay? And so in
Mhm.
that moment you
Or I
brought,
want to be
or
something.
I want to be
How?
something. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I absolutely agree. Kelly, you get me excited. I'm gonna tell you.
I'm
I'll tell
excited.
you that much.
We can do this all day, honey, all day. We can
Yeah,
do this. And I would love to come on to your show when it's up and running so we can continue on with the
indeed.
conversation. Um, in my experience, especially in the Black community, we're taught when you're 18, you're moving out, you're on your
Mhm.
own, you're an adult. I used to subscribe to that methodology, and now I don't. I now see that it's too much of a struggle to have these financial burdens fresh out of school. And I believe in my household and for whomever I'm coaching at the time, that it's not important to get them out the house soon as they turn 18. It's important to make sure they are world ready, that they have the life skills. And that may require more time,
Mhm.
maturity, that may require more of an adult relationship now that your child is growner with, and now that they have this older age, you can start to feed into them more of these adult situations and advice. And also help them to be financially prepared when it's time to leave. Sweetheart, you can move out when you finish college. You can move out anytime before you're 30. You can move out when you're 30. I really don't care the time limit. I want to make sure you are financially prepared. I want to make sure you are doing things in the right manner. Like you said, we went to college, we got married, we're having kids in this season. That's the exactly way it needs to happen. I don't need no teenage babies around here because you still growing up, baby. You still growing up and you need so much more help to get where you need to go now that you brought this new life into the world, even although it's precious.
Right.
Right, that wasn't quite the order, and if that is your reality, that doesn't mean you're not able to grow. That doesn't mean you're not able to still do. It's just going to take you a little longer, and it's going to cost you a lot more money.
Yeah,
So do you think
absolutely.
kids need to be put out at the age of 18?
Now, here's what's interesting, Kelly. I feel like you said, in our community, I don't know that we ever really took time to unpack that. I feel like, sometimes we just take things on out of tradition. And
Mhm.
I'm not knocking, maybe for certain people, they needed to at 18. But if you look at the world that we live in and the student loan crisis and whatnot, I'm a big believer it's always ever taken a village. And so I think it's important in the Black community to step back and say, okay, well, first of all, where did that come from?
I
Like,
have
hey,
one
when you hit
here.
18, that you're gone. It's like, well, let's look at the origin. A, where did that come from? B, what does it mean for my household?
Mm-hmm.
Or depending on your household, it might be advent, and key word on might. It might be advantageous for that son or daughter to leave the house at 18. I don't think we can make blanket statements like that because every family is different, right? And so I think we have to unpack what it means. What does it even mean to leave the house, period? Whether that's 18, 25, whatever. And that means families coming together and
Mhm.
talking about it. The Bible talks about training a child up in the way he should go. And when they grow old, they
Mhm.
won't turn from it. So it's that spiritual foundation, it's a life skill foundation, it's a financial foundation, it's a values, principles foundation that they're getting in the house. And so, depending on the circumstance, like, well, this child might want to go to community college, or they want to go to trade school, or they want to go get their bachelor's, or they have a plan like shortly after their bachelor's, they want to go get their master's. I think parents have to talk openly with their kids about it. It's okay to set goals, it's okay to change goals, it's okay to not initially know what you want to do. There are resources, and in talking things out, we can handle it together. So I'm more of the opinion, what's best for the family, not just what the community or what society is saying. And I don't think we can just make that any blanket statement. Oh, well, black people are supposed to do this. That's that societal cultural pressure. And Kelly, this, we put a lot of pressure on
Mhm.
ourselves and our community. Let's try to relieve some of that pressure, and let's look at our specific context based on my family, where I live, the city state that I live in, what's going on emotionally, mentally, spiritually, what college is even on the table, what's the career plan for that child, how is the parent situation changing, right, Kelly? Some people, empty nest is a new dispensation for a lot of parents, whether you're a single parent, mom, single parent, dad, or married. It's like, everybody's like, hey, I want empty nest, but it's like, again, what does that look like? We can't just lean off of, well, they say, because they said in a magazine or on TV show or on the radio or on the podcast that empty nest is supposed to look this way. No, I think stepping back, what does it actually look like? The process of children leaving home,
It
whether
just
that's
looks like summer
18.
break. No, just summer break. That's why I'm laughing. I'm like, mine left yesterday.
Yeah. Right.
But they're
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That permanent push, though, that could be detrimental
Yeah.
to some. It really can. Tell us more, and let's switch subjects a little bit
Mhm.
about Jericho Force Enterprises.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I talked about earlier that I help business owners grow so that they reach their full potential. What does that mean?
Exactly.
Well, we take an approach that's three parts. We look at business growth, personal growth, and spiritual growth. So if you're followers of Christ, like Kelly and I, a big part of your growing in your business and being successful, and even your personal growth, maturing and changing, is your faith. And so you've got to have a faith foundation. So in my business, we talk about how all three of those are layered together. Yes, the business finances. Yes, the marketing plan and what systems. I'm big on that. On the money side, I teach on personal finance, but I also talk about the business finances and the systems that are in play. Do you have a way to take payment? Do you have a
Mhm.
way to market what you do? And do you have a way to house the product or service? Do you have a website? Do you have a warehouse? Whatever that is, those are usually the three things you need to get going. And then there's the personal growth aspect, Kelly. So I do, one of the things I do in mastermind groups was just a peer-to-peer mentoring concept with a small group of people, 6 to 12 folks, is we
Mhm.
unpack concepts like personal growth. And so I run masterminds on the 15 invaluable laws of growth, because we must be growing as people. One mistake we make, Kelly, is we just automatically assume that growth is going to happen. No,
Hmm.
John Maxwell talks about the law of intentionality, and that means growth doesn't just happen. Some people, Kelly, unfortunately, they don't have 20 years of experience. They have the same experience over 20 years.
Mm.
Well, you don't want to do that. You want to be growing year to year. And that means there's
Right.
something that I have to do. How am I handling life as it comes at me. How am I handling business? And then last but certainly not least, that spiritual component, spiritual disciplines. Am I in community? Am I reading God's word? Am I inviting the Lord into my place of work so that both my work and my soul can thrive? So those are the three areas we focus on: business growth, personal growth, spiritual growth. And then we do that again with speaking, the coaching in groups. That's where the masterminds come in, trainings, various trainings that we do. One, I talk about the 5 E's of business engagement. What does it mean to have an engaged business from a faith standpoint and from a business standpoint? They go together. There's no compartmentalization. So we talk about that. And so that's what we focus on: speaking, coaching, training, a leadership experience, and assessing behavior. So Kelly, it's big self-awareness, right? You got to
Mhm.
understand, in order to grow yourself, you got to know yourself. And
Correct.
so all of my clients, I have them take their DISC assessment so they can understand, hey, am I more introverted or am I more extroverted? Am I more task oriented or am I more relational oriented? And we talk about a personal development growth plan. Like, Jason, that's great. I'm a D and that's red. What does that mean? Okay, so here's some things. D meaning dominance. So here as a result of your assessment, here's what we can do. Here's how it'll help you grow personally, and here's how it impacts your business and the people around you. So that's what we touch on, Kelly. And even my book that I just launched back in March, Fortify Being Rooted in God's Plan for Work and Business. That's another resource that I help my business owners go through. Is like, hey, we got to integrate our faith into the work that we do. And here's some practical ways to do so with our values, with our leadership, with our finances, with our growth, with teamwork. I unpack 10 areas of work. So that's a little bit more about Jericho Force Enterprises. You're getting me going today, Kelly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I like the business model that you set up. Um, quick question.
Mhm.
What is your majority demographic?
Absolutely. So, Christian business owners that want to live out their faith in the work that they do. And Kelly, just being transparent, that was new for me. Before I wrote the book, I was being obedient. Look, pandemic, we were sheltered in place. A lot of people were doing things. Now all of us, we were eating some good food. We were hitting Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that. Well, while I was doing that too, God called me to write. He called me to write a book. And so I went to a conference about 60 days before everybody was really sheltered in place. And I was at a men's conference and God really spoke to me and said, Jason, this is what I want you to write concerning the business community and how to inject your faith
Mhm.
into it. So it was a little bit of a pivot because in 2017 I was just doing the one-on-one financial coaching, focusing on that budgeting, saving, debt, and credit. But when God tells you to move, look, he says move. So with the writing of the book and then the other programs that I've added, he's really calling me to, hey, if you're a Christian business owner, a kingdom business owner, a faith-driven entrepreneur, that's who I'm serving.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like you, Jason.
I like you too, Kelly.
That's beautiful. I love to be around like-minded people. I love to hear their servant leadership. I love to hear the way you give back, and the good Lord has provided you an income from it for you and your family. And that's something out of nothing that I speak of all the time. Or it
Yeah.
reminds me of Tupac, the Rose from Concrete. Like how did that grow, right? So
Right.
right. And so and with just God's faith overall, right?
Mhm.
So with our affirmations, with our intentions, um, things definitely do work out. There is nothing that anybody has thought about long enough that has not come to, whether it been something negative or positive. It seems like we become our thoughts, and we execute one way or
Mhm.
another. Would you be able to share with our audience, and I'm sure you are, how they could reach you, how they could get onto your platforms, any and all, and where your book is being sold as well?
Absolutely. So my website, www.jerichoforce.com, like the walls of Jericho. So
Mhm.
jerichoforce.com is my business website. You can email me at info@jerichoforce.com. I'm on Instagram at jason.n as in Nancy. So at jason.n.davis. I'm on Instagram. I'm always sharing, content, what God gives me, how to inject your faith into
Mhm.
your business. So those are the primary ways you can reach out to me. And then Fortify, my book, Fortify Being Rooted in God's Plan for Work and Business. You can grab that on Amazon. It's available in paperback and ebook form. And Kelly, because I like you so much, here's
Mhm.
just a sneak peek into what I'm planning in the future. I'm working on the audiobook. So in the near future, even the audiobook version of Fortify will be available. So folks, stay tuned. But until then, paperback and ebook, Fortify Being Rooted in God's Plan for Work and Business, you can grab that on Amazon right now.
Excellent, excellent. Are you going to narrate it yourself, or are you going to get
Oh yeah, Kelly,
the
listen,
microphone?
I felt like you. I said, if I'm gonna do this thing, I gotta do it right. And so yours truly, I mean, I've already been in the studio. I've got about maybe two more sessions. So yours truly is gonna read it. So if you like this kind of interaction, you're gonna hear me for a few hours. So folks, stay tuned. If you like what you're hearing, you can hear me all that you want and speed me up, slow me down on multiple audiobook platforms here in the near future.
That is wonderful, Jason. And thank you again for joining us today on the Kelly Holland Show. It has been such a pleasure to have you.
It's been a pleasure, Kelly, and I look forward. If you'll have me back, I would love to be
Oh, you're definitely on the schedule. I was
back.
going to share that later. And thank you, audience, for tuning in today. You've just met my guest, Jason Davis. He is the owner of Jericho Force Enterprises. You can also find him on Clubhouse. This has been the Kelly Holland Show. And never forget to tap back into your unspeakable joy. Have a great day, everybody.